The morning sun filtered through the gauze curtains of my new apartment, casting gentle patterns across the hardwood floors I had chosen myself. As I sipped my coffee, Earl Grey, not the bitter instant blend I'd endured for years, I reflected on how dramatically my life had changed since that cold midnight when my own son left me standing on the doorstep like a stranger. The small 2-bedroom apartment I now called home wasn't grand, but it was mine. Every piece of furniture, every photograph on the wall, every book on the shelf reflected my choices, my preferences, my dignity. The silence here wasn't the oppressive quiet of being ignored. It was the peaceful stillness of independence. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, knocked gently on my door. "Ready for our morning walk, dear?" At 73, she had more energy than people half her age, and our daily walks around the park had become the highlight of my routine. Through her, I discovered a whole community of vibrant seniors who refused to be sidelined by their families or society. "The book club meets at 2 today," she reminded me as we descended the stairs. "And don't forget, dinner at the community center tonight. It's Italian night." I smiled, remembering how I used to spend evenings cooking elaborate meals for people who barely acknowledged my presence. Now I shared simple, joyful meals with friends who valued my company, my stories, my laughter. The support group I'd joined had been transformative. Listening to other parents who'd experienced similar treatment from their adult children, I realized I wasn't alone in my pain or in my strength. We'd formed genuine friendships, organizing outings, celebrating birthdays, and creating the family bonds that biology had failed to provide. My part-time job at the local library brought unexpected fulfillment, helping children discover new books, assisting elderly patrons with technology, organizing community events. I felt useful again, valued, respected. The head librarian had even asked me to coordinate the senior literacy program. My phone buzzed, occasionally with messages from my son and daughter-in-law. The tone had shifted dramatically from their initial outrage to increasingly desperate attempts at reconciliation. Last week's voicemail from my son cracked with emotion. "Mom, please. We made a terrible mistake. The house feels empty without you. Sarah keeps asking for Grandma's stories. We were wrong. So incredibly wrong." My daughter-in-law had sent a lengthy text describing how they'd realized too late what they'd lost. The convenience of having live-in childcare and housekeeping had been replaced by the crushing reality of managing everything themselves while working full-time. More painfully, they'd discovered that their children's behavioral problems had worsened without my gentle guidance and unconditional love. Sarah, my youngest granddaughter, had apparently asked repeatedly why Grandma didn't live with them anymore, why she couldn't come to school events, why everything felt different and sad now. The weight of explaining their actions to innocent children had awakened them to the magnitude of their selfishness. But some wounds cut too deep for simple apologies to heal. The months of disrespect, of being treated like an unpaid servant, of having my feelings dismissed, these couldn't be erased with regretful phone calls. They had shown me exactly how little I meant to them when it mattered most. As I walked through the park with Mrs. Chen, watching young parents push their children on swings while grandparents shared benches nearby, I understood a fundamental truth. Respect isn't automatically granted because of blood relations. It must be earned, maintained, and reciprocated. My son had learned this lesson in the harshest way possible. By treating me as disposable, he'd discovered that love, once broken, doesn't automatically repair itself. Dignity, once trampled, becomes precious beyond measure. And family, once fractured by cruelty, may never fully heal. Standing in my own space, surrounded by people who chose to include me in their lives rather than simply tolerate my presence, I felt a profound sense of peace. The woman who had once begged for basic respect from her own family was gone. In her place stood someone who had learned her worth wasn't determined by others' treatment of her. That evening, as our dinner group at the community center shared, stories and laughter over homemade lasagna. I looked around at these beautiful faces, my chosen family. We were proof that it's never too late to start over, never too late to demand the respect we deserve, never too late to build a life filled with dignity and joy. My son had locked me out of his house that midnight, thinking I had nowhere else to go. Instead, he had unlocked the door to a life I never knew I deserved, a life where I wasn't just surviving, but truly living. Sometimes the greatest gift someone can give you is showing you exactly who they are. And sometimes, the greatest gift you can give yourself is believing you deserve better than their treatment of you. I raised my glass of sparkling cider as Mrs. Chen proposed a toast to second chances and the courage to take them. Around the table, voices joined in agreement, and I realized that being locked out had actually been the key to unlocking everything I'd been missing. The locks on my old life had indeed been changed, by me, for me, and it was the most empowering decision I'd ever made.